Welcome to weekly ECG exercise. As the tagline says, this is learning made easy through regular practice. It is very important to know that the content in these videos is purely for educational purpose and no video can supersede the opinion of an experienced specialist. So let's go with our first ECG of this week. This is a very interesting case. The ECG is from a 77-year-old, slightly obese man who was brought by the family with inability to get up from the sitting position for past 4 to 5 hours. About his medical history, he is a known hypertensive and a chronic kidney disease, had an old ischemic stroke from which he was completely recovered, and also has benign prostatic enlargement. On examination, he is hemodynamically stable, slightly breathless with respiratory rate of around 28 per minute. This is his ECG on admission. Now I would like to request you to pause the video whenever I upload any ECG. There's a reason behind it. In fact, there are two reasons behind it. Number one, you can be completely right, and that will really make you very happy that you could crack the ECG right away. Secondly, if you do not get the answer right, then this video will definitely help you to reach the diagnosis and improve your ability to pick up these changes. So let's start and hit the pause button. Analyze your ECG, jot down the points, and let's compare. Now, whenever you look at any ECG, the routine or regular practice or the teaching is that you should go by various steps of rate, rhythm, axis, intervals, QRS, etc. But I would say that although it is important to go stepwise, but that creates a lot of confusion. So I would suggest whenever you see in any ECG, please first look at the gross abnormalities. Now if I look at this ECG, in general it looks okay to me, except that there is a tachycardia. It is fast and regular. And if you calculate the heart rate, it is approximately 110 per minute. So there is a tachycardia. Now whenever there is a tachycardia, you always think, what is the atria doing? That means what is the atrial activity at this time? In short, what are the P waves doing? In this ECG, if you look very closely, you cannot identify P waves anywhere. Now as all of you know, we look for P waves or they are best seen in lead 2 or V1. Lead 2 here do not show a single P wave anywhere. But if you stretch your imagination and closely look at lead V1, you can see some query P waves here, but that is doubtful. So in general or overall, I would say there are no P waves. That means now we are looking at tachycardia with absent P waves. Whenever we have this situation, usually we think of three important differential diagnoses: junctional tachycardia, AV nodal reentrant tachycardia, and atrial flutter with fixed conduction. Now when we talk about atrial flutter with fixed conduction, you will have flutter waves seen in the ECG which is absent here, so that automatically rules out that there is no atrial flutter. That leaves us with another two differential diagnoses, that is junctional tachycardia and AV-NRT. For AV-NRT, the rate usually starts from 150, whereas here in this case it is 110, and in patients with junctional tachycardia the rate is never more than 120. So this fits in here and our diagnosis comes to junctional tachycardia. Having said that, there is another very important gross abnormality in this ECG, and most of you must have picked it up, that is tall T waves. Now anytime we see tall T waves in the ECG with given scenarios like this, you would think of two differential very important diagnoses, that is hyperacute anterior MI, myocardial infarction, and acute hyperkalemia. So how do you differentiate between these two? The T waves in both these conditions or situations are different, and that can actually give you straight diagnosis differentiating between the two conditions. When we talk about hyperacute myocardial infarction, what are the characteristics of T waves in these patients? The tip or the top of the T wave is broad, whereas the base is wide. So it is fat and white T, like this laughing Buddha. If you put this or see this on ECG, it looks like this. If you can appreciate, the T waves are smooth, the tip is broad, and the base is wide, and they are tall T waves, right? But when we talk about acute hyperkalemia, the tip of the T wave is sharp, dented, or it's like peaked, and the base is narrow. And if you see them, they're quite symmetrical throughout the precordial leads. In short, they're like slim and trim, like this girl. And if you look at the ECG, it is classically like this. You can see sharp, symmetrical, tall, dented T waves with a narrow base. So now let's look at our patient's ECG. You see here, they are very sharp, pointed T waves classically seen in V2, V3, V4, V5, even in lead 2 for that matter. It is said about hyperkalemia, they are sharp, like if you try to touch their tip, you will start bleeding. And that is a very characteristic of tall T waves in acute hyperkalemia. So if you have to gather the findings in our patient, we have narrow QRS tachycardia because the heart rate was 110. It's a regular rhythm. Axis was normal, although that is not very important here. The P waves absent, hence we called it as a junctional tachycardia. And most important findings in this ECGs, there are tall T waves. When we looked at the investigation or the reports of this patient, the potassium value was 7.4 milliequivalents per liter, confirming acute hyperkalemia. Whenever possible, you must do ABG. That will help, especially in treating the patients. Now, classically, it is taught to us that whenever we talk about hyperkalemia, the serum potassium level and the ECG finding have some correlation, and you can say there are some possible ECG abnormalities at particular level of potassium. For example, if it is between 5.5 to 6.5, you will see peak T waves and prolonged PR interval ranging to sine waves when the value is more than 8 milliequivalents per liter. But trust me, the ECGs don't read our books or literatures, and patients with hyperkalemia can present with anything, right from tall T waves to sine waves to tachycardias to bradycardias, not following the rule of serum potassium value matching to the ECG findings. So what are the typical characteristics of acute hyperkalemia? Remember, I am saying acute hyperkalemia. I am not talking about hyperkalemia. There's a difference between acute hyperkalemia and hyperkalemia. That is a chronic hyperkalemia. You may have two patients with the same potassium, say for example 7.4. One is CKD and one is our patient. Which patient is an emergency? To decide that, you should take an ECG. So ECG is the deciding key investigation in treating the patient. If you see the tall T wave, that is an acute emergency, or that is an emergency to treat acute hyperkalemia. Patients with chronic kidney disease may have normal ECG even with the potassium values of 8. So to know the acuteness, hence the treatment as an emergency, the ECG findings are very important. And as I said, earliest sign is tall T waves. You may have then later on flat P waves going to prolonged PR intervals and eventually P waves getting away from the ECG. As the potassium goes higher and higher, you will see wide QRS, which can be really bizarre, very wide QRS. You may see sine waves like this, where there is no ST segment. You may see pseudo-acute coronary syndrome, where there may be a new onset bundle branch block or STT changes which may be present in generalized leads. Patients with hyperkalemia may have tachyarrhythmias or bradyarrhythmias ranging from VTAC, VFib to complete heart block. So it is an important diagnosis to be picked up on the ECG. So the take-home message is, it's not the absolute value of potassium in patients with hyperkalemia, but the ECG which is the key investigations in managing these patients. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please share it with your friends and colleagues. And I would definitely like to hear from you. So please share your thoughts and suggestions in the comment box below. Also, please do not forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon so that whenever the next video is uploaded, you can be notified. Thank you.